welcome to January 2024 Conversations from the Vault, brought to you by Angelina Carew, Hometown Realty. So excited that she has sponsored this podcast again. And so today's guest is Melissa Overton. She is a project manager for LaunchJOCO. And we wanted to talk a little bit about LaunchJOCO, presented by KS Bank for the third year in a row. We're very blessed to have them and our other sponsors. And I just wanted to kind of tell everybody a little bit about the exciting changes. We just had graduation of our 2023 class, and we're getting ready to start class of 2024. So
here we go again, right? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to talk about LaunchJOCO, you've got my attention. We just had graduation at the end of November for the class of 2023, and we did our kickoff for the class of 2024 at the same time. We thought it would be a really cool way to kind of bring the energy in for those graduating and celebrating them, and for the new ones to come in, right, and to see, wow, this is where I'm going to be next year.
Yeah,
I can see myself sitting in their seat. I want to be there. I want to do this. And I just thank the Chamber so much for being ready to come up with new ideas and new programs, right? So that we could do this countywide collaborative project and really start to impact entrepreneurs. I think we're starting to see some real fruits of labor with the first couple of classes. And so that gets really exciting as we talk.
It does. So you talked about it being a collaborative partnership. So let's talk a little bit about the partners that are involved in this project, because it takes a lot of people to put this together.
It does. This is a free program for our public and for our participants. But this program cost us about $30,000 last year to do it and to do it right. So it does take partners. So partners, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. So we've got Clayton Chamber of Commerce and the Clayton Foundation. We've got Clayton Rotary. We've got Triangle East Chamber of Commerce. We've got Benson Chamber of Commerce. We've got Central Rotary of Johnston County. We have Delta Sigma Theta's Johnston County Alumni Chapter. Huge involvement there. They kind of started this first. I always give them that credit first. And joined forces with us. We've got Johnston Community College's Small Business Center that has been integral in this process, as well as a lot of other organizations. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody, but a lot of other organizations that have been involved peripherally with their talents, their time, and their resources, right? Again, $30,000 doesn't just fall out on the table. So we've been fortunate to even be supported by Johnston County Economic Development. And I think that when we started this process, that wasn't on my radar. I don't even think I could dream that it was going to be as amazing as it is. I wanted it to be. But it really has meant something to me that Johnston County Economic Development has stepped in and seen value in this, and that we've been covered by the Triangle Business Journal. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, truly this program, LaunchJOCO, for this county is the one and only entrepreneurial driver. I mean, so we're the only program that is encouraging and funding entrepreneurs, and I think as we grow, we're going to see more and more interest as an economic driver for this county. So people stay and open their businesses here and I don't know, contribute to the economic impact of the county.
I think you're right. And we're kind of in this unique position that Johnston County is in such a growth process that we look at the fact that a lot of people are moving and relocating here because they want that small town feel, which is growing. With a small town feel, a lot of times you have the who you know network. I tell people it's not what you know until who you know. And so we have this unique ability with LaunchJOCO to, you've heard me tell them, I'm not only giving you a place at the table, I'm putting you at the head of the table because I want you to be the honored guest. I want you to meet people. So you're exactly right. And that does drive economic impact, right? And we're seeing businesses that might not have taken off as quickly or might not have gotten this far had they not had these resources. So that feels really good to be able to look back and know that they still had to put the blood, sweat, and tears in things, but we were a part of making sure that the ride wasn't as bumpy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk a little bit about how this program has morphed since we started in 2022. What were the big, so it's reimagined, right? That was Launch Reimagined. So what happened in 2024 that's different?
Oh gosh. So, another sign of an amazing program, I think, is when you have a willingness to evolve as needed. So we have listened to the participants, which have given us a great deal of insight, as well as listened to the stakeholders involved at the community level, as well as just listening to best practices. We've learned it ourselves to create a stronger program. And one of the things that we have learned is that if we truly want the maximum benefit out of this program, a business needs to be established.
Right.
We thought at first that just having a business idea was enough, or if they were just getting ready to launch their business, then that was enough. And the truth is, I think that those participants still had a good experience, but it just didn't set them up for success the way that I think we wanted them to. So we have morphed the program now into 3 different components. So if someone applies for the program, for those who aren't familiar with LaunchJOCO, we only have a couple of exclusions. In order to participate in LaunchJOCO, you must be a Johnston County resident. You must not be a nonprofit. You must not be a multi-level marketing or a franchise. Other than that, kind of open reign to who wants to get involved, how can they come to the table. So when we had applicants apply this year, we decided the best opportunity to set them up for success is if they weren't launched yet and generating revenue, there were still some steps that needed to be taken so that they could come back at a later date and get more out of this program.
Absolutely.
So that's been the beauty of having the partnership with Johnston Community College's Small Business Center. Suzanne Ross has just been a godsend.
She has.
And Suzanne working with us to say, okay, we already have these resources here. And one of the goals of LaunchJOCO was never to duplicate what was going on. It was to create a need that wasn't there, or a product for a need.
Enhance what they were already doing.
Exactly. So with this, we are able to then grab those people that have some really great ideas and they're on the cusp of doing great things and referring them back to what we call Launch Now. And so we refer them back to the Small Business Center and Suzanne Ross and say, look, these are free resources that the state provides. So you can do live classes or online classes and you get free one-on-one business coaching with Suzanne, who is an expert, right? And she's legally bound not to share the personal information. So you feel like you're in a safe place to do that. And this year when we referred them, we had, I believe, 42 apply to the program. And so we had a significant number that we ended up, I believe we took 19 students, 17 businesses, 19 participants. And so those other applicants, we refer back to the Small Business Center. And I love her energy and what they're doing with us, because within 24 hours, she had responded to each of them, because I would send an email and copy her on it, and I was already seeing her responses. So then they get the next year to work with her, and since she's so involved with the program, she knows where they need to be when they come to the table. So that is what Launch Now looks like. And
so it's a reciprocal relationship
between
this program and the Small Business Center.
Absolutely.
So we feed to them and they feed to us, which works out wonderful.
And it just keeps revolving, and it's one of my favorite quotes, right? A rising tide lifts all boats, right? Yeah. So taking that and going, it will be interesting this year to see, do the participants take advantage of that opportunity?
Yeah.
Because we tried very hard to communicate that it's not a no forever, it's you're not ready yet. Exactly. So think of like American Idol or America's Next Talent, whatever.
Please come back next year.
Yeah, please come back next year. I'm in a different place. And actually one of our graduates from this past year, she was an applicant. She applied the first year.
She did.
And she says, I'm not giving up, I'm coming back. So that's just a testament that we're trying to open doors for you and let you understand that there are lots of paths to success.
Correct.
So we're trying to set you up. So based on that, we now have Launch Next. Launch Next is you're in business and you're generating income, and you had to participate in a Shark Tank kind of competition. Mm-hmm. So we were both there for that. Amazing. Gabriella Terry was the one that brought this idea to the table. Shafellas and Mood Food and All the Picnics. So she is an entrepreneur at its pure essence and definition. And she says, if people are really passionate about their business, then they should be able to translate that to us, because this is a huge investment.
Yeah.
So we gave them a set of rules. They had to come in, they had to do a pitch to apply. We were blown away, I think, at the level of what we saw. And then we were disappointed a few times. But again, that sometimes made the difference in whether someone got in the program or not.
Exactly.
So that is Launch Next, and that is that 14-week entrepreneurship night class programs that start up in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks. So we're doing that, and then after that, that's when we match them up with those mentors, right, for that one-on-one. That was another evolution of the program.
Yes.
Right. Trying to be
live
more
and learn,
specific.
right?
Yeah, live and learn, and like your heart's in the right place, and you think that everybody's on the same page, but it was a great lesson in communicating expectations and setting people up for success, so that it was crystal clear what we expected on both sides of the table. So that has been fantastic, and we got a lot of great feedback. So that's probably not going to change a lot next year, right? It's pretty solid. We've got some things to work on.
And they get mentors for how? So the classes are 14 weeks, and they get what?
Yeah. So LaunchJOCO, when you first hear about it, you hear it's like a 14-week program. It's a year-long experience. It truly is. You get a mentor for at least 6 months. You get at least 2 to 4 hours of one-on-one mentoring, free of charge to the participant, by a business mentor that has been placed for them, that as we get to know our participants, we get to know their strengths and their weaknesses.
Right.
And so we're trying to match them up so that their weaknesses match the strength of the mentor. Because if you already know how to cheer yourself on, you don't need a cheerleader, but you may need someone that helps you stay focused, right? Yeah. So different skill sets. So they work with them for 6 months, right? Yeah. And the really cool part that I think also was an unknown side effect, that's the nurse in me talking, the unknown side effect was how much the mentors felt blessed by the experience.
Yes.
And I never thought about that as like, wow, they're like, some of them are like, I was burning out, and this gave me an opportunity to see it through their eyes.
Exactly.
And I'm like, wow. So they do that, and then it culminates. And this past year, we had grants, right? So we had people in the community go, wow, they're really making this thing happen. And we're seeing these participants really hustle. So how do we pour into that? So we had 5 $1,000 grants from KS Bank, and we had a $1,500 grant from Clayton Women in Networking that they selected, or our foundation selected, which was nice, based on criteria, who would win those awards. And so that just...
it just validates the program, and it's worth, right? And what we're giving back to the
and it just feels good. This is
it does feel good.
This is my Oprah program. I'm like, you get something, and you get something, and you get something.
Well, you're making a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah,
and that's and you see it, and you can see it transform from day one to the first month to the last month, and it's just an amazing growth process to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
You talk about it. We can't help but look at some of the successes. We've seen at least 2 that I can think of right now that have opened their own brick and mortar, and felt like some of this was setting them up for successes, that it was a dream they had, but participating in the program helped them see real-time numbers. Yeah. We've seen some who thought they would launch a brick and mortar, but they're finding out not yet. Yeah. But they also found out that doesn't mean your dream is gone. It means that you're reimagining.
Well, and reevaluate your business plan too. What you thought might be the path that you were going to take ends up being something totally different, which is kind of cool to watch too.
It is. And a lot of times people tie success into brick and mortar.
Not necessarily true anymore.
I would make more money if I didn't have brick and mortar because of the overhead expenses, all the things that are tied into it. And, it has worked for me in my business model, but I definitely could have delayed that by probably 3, maybe 4 years, and could have made a lot more money. Yeah. So you just have to look at it. But that's the beauty of having a program like this, is you've got someone to tell you those things, because, those are things that I won't say it was a mistake to do it the way I did it, but there was an easier way.
Well, what I love about the business program is that you're not just learning theory. You are actually working your business. You are using your
Yes.
own financials. You are doing your own plan for your business.
Right.
And so that's what I love about it.
Well, and it doesn't even have to be a brand new business.
No.
Today. You know, one of our members,
Scale and
Miss
grow.
Evelyn Sanders, did Launch Raleigh. She was an early Launch Raleigh participant, and her business was established. But she said what she learned in that class made her company a multi-million-dollar organization.
Exactly.
So it just goes, and I've always said is that if I didn't have 8,000 things to do, I would be in the back of the room doing the same work that they're doing, because I know how much it would benefit me as far along as I am. There's such a value in it, and I think the value of having the accountability to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of entrepreneurs start their own business because they know how to do something really well. They don't necessarily know how to run a business.
Exactly.
And then when you start running your own business, you do the things you like to do, and then you may just kind of not pay attention to the things that you're not strong at or don't really want to deal with. Mine was policies and procedures. So until my business was almost 9 years old, there were no policy and procedures.
I know
so
people that love that, and I admire them.
Oh yeah, and bless their hearts. We're Southern, bless their hearts. But yeah, I mean, if I gotten hit by a bus, no one would have been able to walk in there and have a clue of what I was doing. They could have bumped along with some things, but that was a true sign of the vulnerability of my company. And so a program like LaunchJOCO kind of sets you up to address some of those things and at least have the list of things you need to do in front of you.
Right.
I was telling you, hiring a bookkeeper early on. Holy moly.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the relationships through sponsors and relationships we build. And again, we haven't even talked about the benefit of the network.
That's, yeah.
Right? You want to talk about it because I'm talking a lot.
No, I don't want to talk about it. You're my guest. But I wanted to make sure that we did touch on that piece about how resources and connectivity to people and building relationships in your community, and to get back, you give back. And and I think that's a valuable piece of running a business or being involved in a business is your community outreach.
You're exactly right.
And I think it's important that business owners realize that. Because if you're not front of mind, somebody else will be.
That is a great way to put it. I literally had that conversation today. Number one, it makes me think my teenage son, who is 16, out of nowhere on Friday, we're driving down the road. There's the only times you have real conversations, like when they can't jump out.
Remember
the car's
days.
moving, right? The car's moving. But he said to me, he said, Mom, he says, in the last 6 months or so, he says, I've really come across a pretty big realization. And I'm like, those are big words for 16. It's early in the morning. I'm still sipping coffee. And I'm like, really? What did you figure out? And he said, you get back what you put out in this world. So I'm trying to tend into it and pretend like this is not blowing my mind, because he'll stop talking if I do, if I have any emotion in it. So I'm like, really? And I was like, you're exactly right. I was like, whatever energy you put out is the energy you get back. So if you put nothing in, that's the networking thing is so important, because like you said, you got to be insight in mind. And especially if you sell coffee, the people drink coffee a lot. That's great. But if you're selling an experience, let's say a wedding photographer, hopefully they're only going to get you once, maybe 2 or 3 times, but we hope not, right? But the truth is you've got to be in the forefront so that they might not be getting married, might not get married, might go maybe. Then one day they're like, or somebody they know is getting married, they're looking, and you go, oh yeah, I know somebody. Yeah. And so a lot of the business relationships that I utilize, they've been through being involved with organizations like the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. My bookkeeper, my CPA, my insurance salesperson, right? I look at these. My commercial insurance is through a chamber member. I didn't know they were a chamber member at the time. It was pretty cool they are, because I was like, all right, that's cool. They're also supporting their community investing. But recently, I've been speaking with a local insurance person about my homeowners. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even know the person that does my insurance. I've emailed them a few times. I've never met them in person. But I've got this guy standing in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and give him a shout out. It's Matt Gorman. Like, who else would you talk to? So, and I'm like, wow, you know what? How cool would it be to have that relationship with somebody that's right here that I'm making eyeball contact with? I know what kind of heart they have for the community. I know what kind of involvement they have. Like, that's the key to making
you're going to be taken
successful.
care of as a business owner.
No doubt.
So, perfect segue.
Okay.
So our additional program, this is
Yes.
kind of how LaunchJOCO has been reimagined for 2024. So let's talk about Launch Beyond.
Oh, gracious.
And so the segue is networking
Matt,
Matt, and that's another way
That's
to
exactly
that you give back. And he is doing a class. So talk about Launch Beyond. It's coming up on the 22nd.
That sounds
of
right.
January.
Yes. That sounds right. So we learned that as in anything in life, you never arrive. I tell people you don't arrive until they throw dirt on you, right? Or they cook you up. My son's like, do not cremate me. That was the other thing I learned this week. He's like, don't cremate me. I was like, good to know. Not that I'm expecting him to go before me, but it was a good conversation to have. So the thing is that you're always growing. So we realized that we were like, okay, go forth and be successful. And you got everything you need. Not true. Not true. There's so much we need to do. And then we said, but there's a small business center. So they've got all these resources. So they'll go forth and be successful. Well, what we found out is that the small business center is limited at what kinds of things that they can promote beyond. And we really started going back and looking at those critical skills or soft skills of development. How do you network? How do you get to know people in a room? How do you build authentic relationships, not drive-by business card pass, right? Everybody's been on a drive-by before. You're like, okay, that happened. And they're like, I passed out all my cards. I can leave now. I'm not going to do anything with cards.
It needs to be intentional and meaningful, right?
Right. Intentional and meaningful, and understanding that you're farming, not fishing.
Exactly.
So Launch Beyond is a program that we built as a 6-month pilot that once a month we'll have an evening class that is open to anyone. So if you're listening to this and you haven't been a part of LaunchJOCO, number one, why? I don't have my own business. That's okay. Well, how would you like to support our effort in the community? So I'm going to call you out on it. But also, if you just want to learn these skill sets, we wanted to open this up to anyone in the county that had an interest, till the room gets full, to come in and learn about these topics. So our first one being networking and building relationships. The next one was going to be about how are you being seen when you show up? I can't remember the exact words, but Shannon Sellers is
building your personal brand.
Building your personal brand. Thank you. Building your personal brand. So how do you show up? And when you show up, do you show up as someone who looks like they're ready to do business and also like they're ready to do business, right? So what is your body language and your image with that? What kind of image are you putting out on social media? We know that can make you or break you these days. You got to be really careful about that. But I think that when you become a business owner, you have to stop and look at it in a different light, because that doesn't always naturally pop up on your radar of awareness.
Right. Well, some of the other topics are building your, not only your personal brand, but your marketing and your brand of your business.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've got a really financial literacy,
and communication, conflict resolution. So how not to take your earrings off when you get offended as a professional.
So we're excited. So we've got one January through June, and if it's a successful pilot, then we'll hopefully next year in 2025 have one every month.
Yes, and that's the thing is we're just going to keep, you guys are going to just have to stay tuned, because maybe I'll get lucky and be first next year in January again, and we'll talk about, hey, wait, there's more. This is an ever evolving program, and something that our community should be proud of, because it's doing the good work. Thank you as the leader, that at the end of the day, you're the fallback champion. I mean, you have to hold my feet to the fire and make sure that we're doing what we've set out in this community to do. And I appreciate that accountability from you.
Well, I appreciate you being the project manager for the 3rd year in a row. And we have, people who have to be in charge of the mentorship piece. Douglas McClintock has done a great job with that.
3rd year in a row.
Talia Virgin has taken on the education piece.
3rd year in a row.
We've got, Rich Moore was our instructor, but now we have a new instructor, Katie Gales, who's actually the founder of Launch My City in Wake County. And so what a jewel we've got in her as an instructor and as a mentor, because she's helped us quite a bit in getting this project up. And it's funny because she's learned some things from us too. So I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to start Our orientation is the 25th, and Launch Beyond is the 22nd, and our first class is the 30th. So January is packed full of LaunchJOCO, right?
We're going to be launching everywhere. Launch. So,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just the sky's the limit if we're going to be talking about launching, right? The sky's the limit. So
exactly.
I'm excited to see this year's participants are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be doing things to feature them along the way. Yeah. And
so
it's
watch
just exciting.
Yeah, so like our LaunchJOCO page.
Yeah.
And on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and follow our journey throughout 2024.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.